Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Le Grand Booth.
The Big Feast.
With myself, Cole Smithy, and my co-host, Mike Lacey. As always, we are here to copiously consume international politics and culture through the prism of a single film and a different craft beer each week. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Cole. I feel we're gonna throw down a little bit today.
Black Panther?
On Black Panther, yeah.
I remember when you tweeted out that you were going to see it on like a Friday.
It was
the first Friday, the opening day.
It was my birthday. It was the day it came out.
What day was that?
It was February 16th, 2018. And it was also the day...
What was 27th birthday?
It was 28th.
28th, sorry. Good to know.
And it's also the day... It was the day that Robert Mueller indicted 13 Russians. And I was like, what a good day. I'm leaving work. They're going down. Black Panther... I'll put it out there. Spoiler alert on my opinion. I thought it was great. I loved it.
Okay.
Great time.
You're going to have a fine time.
Yeah, here we go. Buckle up.
Supporting that vantage. So we're drinking a bear.
Yeah, bear brewery.
Because I thought, what can kill a Black Panther?
Another Black Panther.
A fucking bear.
Okay. I don't know about that.
No, you put like a...
I don't know if it's canon.
No, you put like 1,000-pound bear. He's gonna that Black Panther's gonna get some competition.
I know the history of the title Black Panther is kind of rich, but well,
let's talk about the beer.
Aren't all Panthers black? All right, let's go. Tell me about
the beer. And they have spots. If you put them under a black light, there's really spots. You know that?
Really?
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
They're leopards. Yeah,
they're
really leopards. They have leopard spots hidden.
I don't know much about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna double check that during the podcast just for veracity's sake. But in the meantime, bear, and this bear. He's grizzly action. He's roaring.
That's intense. That's not some California state flag bear. That's a bear that
he's gonna eat your head first. He's just gonna bite your head off.
I think it's a female bear, and I think someone's near its cub, and she is alarmed.
She's pissed.
Have you ever run into a bear in the woods?
No, thankfully I have not.
I was camping in New Mexico, and we got.
You got bared?
There were two cubs and at least one mother near a campsite, and the whole deal is you don't get in between them.
No.
And we were scaring them away. We made a good point of that, and then we heard a noise, and we were not at that point in between a mother and a cub, but then we heard a noise, and we looked up, and there was a bear, a little cub 25 feet up a tree, and we were in between them there. And so then we had to just sort of, side angle, like a shimmy sideways and get out of there. So
How big was the bear?
Was two cubs, and then, full grown brown bear. I don't believe there are black bears in America.
So the brown bear.
It's a brown bear.
Like 400 or 500 pounds.
Maybe more, but I don't exaggerate, but it's a full-grown fucking bear. It's creepy.
Big bear. Yeah. They're scary.
I'll take your face off.
Yeah, they will take your face off. So this is an American brown ale. I don't mean to really be so literal, with the Black Panther thing, but I guess there it is. It's 6.4 ABV, and I'm just trying to find out if there's any... This is one of those cans that you just get. You don't
not a lot of copy, not a lot of telling you what how you're supposed to like it. How do you like it, Cole? What kind of name some flavors when you like
TreehouseBrew.com. It's Treehouse Brewing. Yeah, well, we've been on a dark beer kick, so this is gonna. Now we have a couple of things to.
It's fairly straightforward. I don't get tons of extra flavors. I don't discern necessarily a real specific fruit. It is coffee-ish. Though one of the last beers we had did specifically have some coffee tones in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Coffee notes. Or tones.
Maybe a bit. But it's rich. There's some it's kind of dairy-like in there. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it has a thickness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, decent head on there. You looking up some factoids about it?
I'm just trying to find to see if see what it's rated on Beer Advocate. They give it a 4.07 out of 5.
Oh wow!
So this is this is a sought after little beer that you're drinking.
That's I mean, it's not as good as a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, which this film has.
Nearly 4 years in the making. Bear is Treehouse brewer Brendan's recipe for his first scaled commercial batch. Toffee, caramel, candy. Good.
All right,
Unlike Black Panther.
let's dig into this. Disagree right there. I'm gonna try to
Disagree with what?
I disagree with your assessment that Black Panther is not good. I think it's.
Is it even a movie?
What do you like? Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm checking because I
it's
wasn't.
a superhero action film.
Because I felt like I walked into a party where like the party was already going on, and then it stopped, and the party was going to keep going on without me somewhere else.
Are you saying that because it's part of a large franchise of
No,
films?
I mean,
Because it doesn't make much reference to any of those. Really, it's entirely self-contained.
I didn't think it was entirely self-contained at all.
Well, why not?
Well, it's not I mean, I don't know. The problem. There's several problems that I have with superhero movies in general. Not the least of which is that Hollywood's been completely co-opted by them.
Which I'll assent to is that it's unfortunate it's all that's made. But if we're going to talk about one, should we do it as I think you've expressed is in respect to what it's going for and in the genre that it's a part of? How does it succeed in that? Versus, do I think this compares well to a Von Trier movie or even a Spielberg movie? Like,
all right,
not
we got some steps to take before we get to that conversation.
Sure.
It's a superhero movie,
which
means this is a children's movie. This is a movie for children.
I think you're having simplified themes of good and evil, though this gets more complex than some. It's nuanced, but it's based on things that are generally aimed at kids.
Yeah, and so considering that it is a children's film, you have to look at it as an adult in that light. That this is a movie.
It's
wait a minute, let me finish.
Okay.
This is a movie that, as part of the genre for children, that is designed to indoctrinate children or to teach children or to give children teachable moments. So that's what we're looking for in the movie. And as I have said far too many times in my life and will say far more too many times before I die, quoting George Lucas about Star Wars, it's all about the merchandising. So you can bet that next Halloween, there's going to be a lot of little kids wearing Black Panther costumes. There's going to be a deluge of Black Panther dolls and all sorts of little toys for little kids to go home and play ritual combat with each other.
Did you have any sort of appreciation of the representation that this film has? That this has a virtually entirely black cast giving excellent performances.
Whoa, excellent performances. We're going to have to get into that because there's some problem performances in this movie.
Okay, I think there's two performances that I didn't care for much, and that was the sort of more more established actors.
And you can't just give praise to a movie. I think this is a knee-jerk thing that critics do all the time. Oh, great performance must be a great movie. I can't remember who pointed it out. Somebody, probably an actor pointed out that I never want to hear great performance because that's if you're a good actor, your performance doesn't stand out. It's supposed to be transparent.
I mean, I'll agree with that because I think the Oscar nominations this year, and full disclosure, we're recording this the day of the Oscars.
Of the 90th Academy Awards.
The 90th Academy Awards. I think that the Best Pictures nominations this year were filled with movies that had great performances that none of which I felt reached a level of a great film. I don't think I would consider any of these. Believing in a concept of a great film, I went to school for great books. I don't know if I really believe in the concept, but good performances, some of them great. Movies not as good. Black Panther, do I hope it is nominated for Best Picture next year? No. Do I think it executed a superhero film as good or better than anyone has before? Yeah, I think so.
No, hell no.
What's
You've never seen Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi's 2004 Spider-Man 2?
I don't give a shit about
I
the
still,
Spider-Man.
I don't care if
Doc
you don't give a
Ock.
shit.
I don't.
I think as a children's movie, that movie hits all the marks. I don't think that there's a single superhero movie before or since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 from 2004 that it has hit the high mark.
But this,
nothing's come close to that movie.
This
Not
movie,
even close.
okay, but we'd be real white dude idiots if we didn't acknowledge out the gate that the reason this movie is receiving the box office it has is that it is very strong portrayals of with an all-black cast with a superhero that
Okay.
does not get his power from white people.
You're editorializing.
No, what
already.
are you? What are you? This is.
Just because you said it or somebody else said it doesn't make it fact.
So you're not acknowledging that the race of the main character is a big part of its.
No, but you're saying that it's portraying them in this very strong fashion.
Okay.
No, I don't buy any of that shit.
Okay, well let me say the perception that this is a positive portrayal of black characters, the perception of it that this is a big part of why this movie is a big deal. And like, what do you think of that concept? I'm actually asking you a pretty neutral thing. Is this movie is given a lot of attention because of the people it's representing?
If you had to go that far to find something good to say about the movie, I think you're already sunk.
I think but I think it's a value add. I think that on top of being
it's value added.
Yeah, on top of it being an excellent
value
superhero.
Added?
Well, it's actually value add. It's a fucking business. Like, it's a value add.
No, value added.
Value add.
No, it's value added. It's value added. I could show you.
Okay. So, to not just like pick apart semantically what I'm saying, my point is not only is, oh, good, you know what? I'm wrong. Not only is it a very good superhero movie. And you notice I'm always saying superhero movie because that's what this is, you know? Not only is it that, it is
very good. You give it a very good. So what grade is that, Mike?
Well, let's talk about how we're grading films. Am I doing this out of every Marvel movie? Am I doing this out of every film?
Will you tell me?
You're acting like I'm coming out of here totally out of left field and trying to. And what am I doing? I am trying to grade this movie in terms of the genre in which it's in, and I am acknowledging that a very important and good thing about it is that there are a lot of black performances which show people acting in terms of in movie logic, and I think we can see here in superhero logic, they're acting in very upstanding, positive ways. Now, of course, that does mean.
Well, now wait a minute.
Let me finish my talk. Now, of course, that does mean in these movies,
upstanding,
blowing up cars,
upstanding,
like fighting with people.
Yeah, upstanding. I don't think there's anything particularly upstanding about these characters.
Is that because they are the type of characters you see in superhero movies, or are these worse than those movies? Are these worse characters than in superhero movies, or are you just critiquing the entire genre right now?
Are they worse characters? Well, let's just back up for a second. I want to talk about, since you made a big point over movies with black casts, let's run a few of them down, because so far I've looked at the list, I don't see a single one on here that isn't better than this movie.
What list are you looking at?
I just typed in films with an all-black cast, and I got Eddie Murphy's Coming to America, which is really great, really funny. Baby Boy, which is also really good. Bad Boys 2, Pursuit of Happiness. Okay, that movie's worse than
it's much worse.
It was worse than Black Panther, but Black Panther's longer.
And I don't think
Bad
Boys 2 is Bad Boys.
Oh, Bad Boys!
Fuck the Bad Boys movies.
1 and 2. Yeah, they're not better. They're probably about the same. Boomerang, Friday,
what is Boomerang?
Waiting to Exhale, Soul Food. Right now, I just want to lay out the list. The Best Man, The Wood, Glory, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, The Nutty Professor, Eddie Ed Martin, Life, Ali, Soul Plane. That's not very good. Shaft. Oh, that's a good one.
Don't you think that the fact that there is a kind of quick and easy to find list of movies with all black cast shows that there's definitely space for in the many genres of film there are now, and actually fewer genres. That's important to have representation.
You're talking about Google, my friend Google. My friend Google will give you whatever you want.
Pull up the list of movies with all white cast.
How about okay?
Is it just movies, pretty much, and with like an asterisk for like the 15 you just read?
So it kind of starts off with Exodus, Gods and Kings, The Lone Ranger, A Mighty Heart, Noah, The Last Airbender, M. Night Shyamalan, Ding Dong.
So I'm curious about this.
A Beautiful Mind.
So when you were reading those movies with all white cast, all black cast, there are actually white people in those movies as there are in this one, and I think the list you're reading now is a list of movies with actually no people of color in them in virtually any role. You know, and I think that is showing on top of the like well documented like statistical lists that they put out now of how many people of color have speaking lines in films. There's obviously a problem, and it's a big deal that in the biggest genre of Hollywood films right now, which are not the best films ever in history at all, but they're the most popular, that it's a remarkable thing that there's an all black cast.
If that's the
and I think
best
there's a reason why people are raising money to send young.
If that's the best that you can do, you have set your bar very, very low.
I don't think it's the best you can do. I think it's the least you can do. All right, so let's start with like that's a check for this movie.
So there's one white.
That's a check for this movie.
There's only one white person in the movie.
Oh, there's two actually. You know, you see this meme? It was they were both in Lord of the Rings movie, so they're saying they're the Tolkien white guys in the movie.
Okay, all right.
Go swallow that.
Very
that
glad
meme very
that there are black people in the movie. Can we move on to the movie?
Okay.
When what this movie is teaching kids.
Can we talk? That sounds. Let me ask that. I mean, do your thing, but
what?
I'm just wondering, like,
what do you think this movie teaches kids?
Like, are you going to give an indictment of these comic book based action movies?
No, we're talking about Black Panther.
Talking about Black Panther. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
So, what do you think this movie is teaching kids?
I think this movie is showing a shift of the responsibility of leadership from being isolationist to creating an image of yourself externally that you are kind of without reproach, to admitting your faults and adapting to help other people and see the problematic parts of your past. So I can get specifics into the movie.
Less words. What do you think it is?
What are you looking for right now?
I'm looking for what you think this movie is teaching kids.
I see the movie showing a strong hero who examines himself.
I don't want to know
It's teaching kids to be introspective and change the way they operate because of mistakes that have been made. I think that's a positive lesson, and I think that's the lesson of this character.
Wait, no, I just want to hear the thing. So say the thing again that you think is teaching them. I'm curious.
Teaching people.
Kids.
Okay, but if you see who went to this movie, that you can say this is aimed for kids, and you have your George Lucas quote. That's cute, but it was not mostly children.
Listen,
it was not mostly children. I was there, and there were 45-year-old women who were seeing it for the third time on a Sunday.
Listen,
and
I saw 45-year-old women on the. Well, actually, I didn't see women. I saw men. I saw 45-year-old men reading the Harry Potter books when they were popular 15 years ago. And you know what I thought? You fucking idiot.
So I just want to be clear. You're saying to these 45-year-old middle-aged black women, you fucking idiot for going to this movie for a third time. This means nothing. There's nothing to gain from it. You're an idiot.
I'm talking about the people who read Harry Potter books. Adults who read Harry Potter books.
You were talking about them as an analogy.
Yeah.
So what do you say to this adult that's seeing this movie 3 times in a weekend? Do you think maybe there's a reason they're doing it that you're not perceiving?
Sure.
Or hey, so what do you think that reason is?
You know, I guess that they want to go see movies with a lot of black people in them. And I wish there were more. And there should be more.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not an adult film, and on a certain level, yes, you fucking idiot. Couldn't you go see an adult film? What are you doing watching children's movies? I mean, granted, if you're taking a kid with you, I guess you're chaperoning. You're taking your child. You're spending time with your kid. That's great, but I mean, to make a big deal out of I'm an adult and I'm going to go see children's movies and pretend like this is important cinema. No, it's not important cinema.
You do know the mechanics is like this is going to lead to more like
merchandising.
It's going to lead to that it's going to lead to more films that portray black people in a positive light and not just drug dealers and gangsters. Because
that is so agenda, man. I mean, okay, so you're trying to do something. You have a political agenda that you're trying to push forward. You want to do this thing, and this thing is what now?
I think it's pretty clear to a lot of people that the success of this movie is going to lead to more films that portray
more superhero movies.
Well, if that's the case, then that's not a terrific outcome. But don't you think that the next time someone says, "Hey, I have a really intelligent film about a black family and these dynamics that are very nuanced and it's intelligent," and as it is, you'd say, "Black movies don't sell. No one goes to black movies." No one wants to see something like that. Now you might say,
"Well, I mean, there are a lot of movies out there like that." Or
there's not a lot.
There are. Is anyone talking about The Killer of Sheep? I mean, those movies are there,
but it's well documented. There are a lot fewer of them.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with the quality. That has nothing to do with the quality of the genre, the state of Hollywood, and what this movie's trying to teach kids. Which is violence, man. Which is violence.
Yeah, unpack it. I think there's fair points, and I think it comes from the genre. But yeah, tell me what you're saying.
Okay.
Tell me what you're saying.
If I was gonna let me just jump ahead for a minute and say, if I was gonna make all black superhero movie, there would be no white people in it. It would just be black people.
There's literally two, but
I don't want the two. I want it all black, and I want it to be about how these people relate to each other and how they envision their future and what they do to promote that and to make that thing happen. I want to see them use their minds. I want to see a superhero movie where the people actually think and their ideas are what is important. I don't want to see any superhero movie which they all are about the same thing, which is, and in this movie, it's called Ritual Combat. I mean, what do you think kids are going to do? You take little 9-year-old Timmy and Jimmy, black Timmy and Jimmy, to the movie. They go home. What's the first thing they're going to do? Hey, let's play Ritual Combat.
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, you don't think it's accurate, but I do. I mean, that's what I came away from the movie thinking.
So they're going to shut down a waterfall. They're
just going to play. They're just going to play fight each other. That
kids play fighting because of movie. Oh my god!
Yeah.
But don't you think? Don't you think like
you couldn't do better than that? You couldn't do any better than that. You're perpetrating. You've created an exploitation, a method of exploitation.
Are you aware that the way that black people are more often portrayed in films as just shooting each other, doing drugs, like being pimps?
Okay, so what's different about this one? Now they're just fighting.
They are. So I don't like people. Killing people, period. I'll go on record saying that. But I don't think that ritualistic combat scene is...
There's a few of them.
Super, super problematic.
There's at least 3, maybe 4 of the ritual combat scenes. So how the movie opens?
There's 2.
No, there's at least 3.
There's 2. Mm-mm. I saw it twice. There's 2. Whatever.
Well, did you catch the bad continuity mistake?
Did you catch
that the second time?
I think you pointed this out that the character that Daniel Kaluuya plays, W'Kabi, shows up in the
inexplicably he shows up in the rebirth of
there was definitely some sort of scene cut there.
It just makes no sense. I mean,
No, it must have
it's
been the
it's this
scene must have been like
stupid,
cut.
ridiculous mistake that you would see in a.
Yeah, I mean, that's at least 10 Rotten Tomatoes points right there. Like,
I don't know about Rotten
that's rough.
Tomato points, but I just know that it's not good filmmaking. Isn't
That's you're bringing up a continuity error that probably came from a deleted scene and saying that
I
this
don't
film
care why
sucks.
it's there. I noticed it. And
Did you?
Here's the problem that I have with the
Do you
movie.
like any films like this?
Here's the problem. I just we could
It
talk,
doesn't-
we should do an episode and dedicate it to the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, God.
It's so boring. The movie is just so. This movie is so overlong
the
and boring.
Tobey Maguire one or the
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire.
is that called the Amazing Spider-Man or is that
That's the Amazing
new
Spider-Man
one?
2.
Is the new franchise the Amazing? I think the new franchise is the Amazing Spider-Man. I think that's just Spider-Man 2.
Well, anyway, let's talk
The
about
Sam
that.
Sam Raimi.
Talk about that later.
Sam Raimi though, right? Tobey Maguire.
2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is just
Yeah. If we do Spider-Man 2, we have to do Spider-Man 3 though.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
Why?
Because you're holding.
That's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I know.
No, we only do the good one.
I just want you to look bad afterwards.
We already know that's the bad one.
Have you seen any of the I'm curious. Do you watch any of the more recent Marvels? This Avengers universe stuff. I don't think you're not really. It's not your cup of tea at all, right?
It may not be my cup of tea, but I do my due diligence as a film critic. As I saw this one, I have not written my review yet. You're right. It's just called Spider-Man 2. How elegant is that? So yeah, I mean, I've seen crappy Daredevil and
Yes.
crappy
Oh, yeah.
whatever.
Well,
and
that's not so.
crappy what. I mean, there's so many of them now,
So
and there's never any linking between them. They don't make any sense.
That's inaccurate, but but it is unclear. It's you gotta like know more about it than you'd want to.
No, I know plenty about it. I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, it's like what happened with Spider-Man.
The Avengers, Thor, Iron Man, that Spider-Man, not the one you're talking about. The Doctor Strange, that universe of which this Black Panther is a part. Have you seen these? Like, did you see the latest Thor movie? Did you see?
I saw the
Avengers?
Kenneth Branagh Thor movie.
You saw the Kenneth Branagh Thor movie.
Uh-huh.
What did you think of that?
It was okay.
Don't you think that it's teaching little white boys to like run around with a hammer?
Yeah, I don't think any kids can lift that 100-pound hammer.
Oh, so it's not bad because kids can't.
All
lift the hammer.
superhero movies are stupid, and
So-
they all promote violence. It's the
And-
same thing I've always said.
And you know what?
but
I
Spider-Man 2 does not do that.
Fuck Spider-Man 2.
But it's the best one. So if you're going to talk about the genre, you got to talk about the best one.
I respect the opinion because I do agree with you that you do need to like translate the ritual combat into democratic values for that to make sense. You do need to have it be less leading with destroying cities and kidnapping people as the solution to their problems. Yeah, I mean it's heightened. It is showing people who are quote unquote like really good people, but because of this genre, it's like, well, that's kind of like a destructive sociopathic way to solve your problems. But this is the genre. Is it making the world worse because people think this? I don't think so. I think there have been stories about Greek gods doing things and they're not making people worse.
I want to cut to the bone of the story
Yeah.
in regard to children, because that's what we're dealing with. And that revolves around the character who is abandoned, the child who is abandoned.
Sure, Michael B. Jordan's character.
And so
Eric Killmonger.
Right, Killmonger. So we clearly know that he's a bad person who needs to die because his name is Killmonger.
Well, we don't learn his name until he's clearly a bad guy.
Okay. Well, anyway, so he's Killmonger, and so what happens is Black Panther finds that his dad has been has been engaged in criminal activity, and he kills him in front of the kid. So
the former Black Panther who died before this film, he kills his own brother. Because right,
and then
in to qualify it, it's in an act of defense of Forrest Whitaker's character. It's not a cold-blooded execution. They make a specific point to show that he's not executed. He's about to hurt someone, and he has to kill his own brother to resolve that.
Right. So that's what happens. And then they go off to they go back to Wakanda,
abandon the sun.
but they abandon the sun.
Yeah, which is the the original sin.
It's the dirty secret of the story.
Yeah.
And when that secret is exposed and they are asked like why they did it, they don't have any.
Well, no one's there to answer for it.
They don't have any, no. There's no like, oh well, I wish I had done better. I didn't know. It's all very mealy mouthed explanation about why, and that's where the movie should come through. If you wanted it to be a responsible movie, you needed to somehow connect that character. Okay, the fact that you abandoned that character in the beginning, the fact that ever happened. Okay, so you've painted a situation that speaks to what happens a lot in African American culture where there's no dad.
Okay,
where the dad abandons the family.
So this is they're consciously referencing this. It's called a trope, if not another fact. But like at least the social,
but they're not.
The media wants to aware of a concept.
But
like
they're not. They're not
absent black father.
They're not answering for it. They're just letting that slide. That's not our thing. It's not our responsibility.
But they're creating a character who has anger driven by the absence of a father who grew up in Compton, and so that is that is a character that is something that you recognize in a film because that's a more normal.
I don't know about you, but
it's a more typical portrayal of a black man.
I recognize everything. I recognize all people. I don't have the problem that some people, you act like I have this thing where I don't recognize. I recognize everything. I'm
not saying you don't get that trope. I'm just spelling out. It's like, yeah, so they're like Killmonger's portraying the black man with an absent father.
Right. And that's it. And that's a trope that they're continuing, that they're exploiting, that they're using to get that revenge factor into their story, because you got to have revenge. If it's any kind of superhero movie, really any Western movie, it's got to have revenge. And I think that feeds into this whole cycle of violence that we have with school shootings and pretty much people shooting everybody all the time in this country, is because everybody feels like they have their right to revenge, and so
it's going to be the movie sets up so that this character does almost have legal recourse to revenge and even the throne through ritualistic combat, which, as you've said, is the worst. The worst role model that American children will ever have.
It's pretty simplified. It's pretty simple thinking. 1 + 1 = 2. I get it.
But yeah,
duly noted.
But right, so let's track the character and him coming up against a different vision of a black man who did not have an absent father, but a very different upbringing, who's literally like royalty. And that's not a trope you see in films, right? That's
really
what
trope?
Coming to America, maybe the black prince who becomes king that had a present father. That's not something that you see very much in films. You don't see. How often are there black characters that have an intact family?
I don't care about how often anything happens. What kind of age is that?
A good one?
Why? Things have to happen. The same thing has to happen all the time? I don't understand.
You know how all movies portray bald men as rude fucks?
Do they? I don't think
No, they don't. But if they did, wouldn't that kind of bug you?
I don't know.
The image that we create with especially these big Hollywood films has an impact on people's self-perception. I think that's a given, right? And if we're not talking, and I know we're not in the realm of very deep, beautiful, artistic filmmaking that's true to the human spirit in this transcendent way. This isn't one of those films.
No,
this isn't
merchandising.
A film.
It's merchandising.
So
buy the dolls, buy the costumes.
So what if we merchandise on just portraying any type of person as negatively as we want? That's a problem socially. And I think that by being responsible about those portrayals, that's the most there is to talk about. That's the interesting thing to talk about here.
Is what?
Is the impact that this will have on the world and the culturally. Okay, that's the interesting conversation here.
All right, but here's the thing. Anyone who ever has any expectation to have an expectation that your movie is going to change the world is baloney, because you're not in charge of that. No one knows what's going to happen. Your little movie's going to go out there in the world.
But why can't you have that ambition? Shouldn't you always have that ambition to make a positive impact on the world?
No, I think I wish that were the case with this film. I don't think it is the case with this film. Because I think that this film is actually perpetrating the same cycle of violence that it's pretending to transmogrify out of reality, but it is reality. The reality that this movie keeps coming back to is what? It's just revenge and violence.
So we did, we did highlight these two types of characters that do wind up in this combat, and I see your point that I wish that this was a different kind of movie where they're not just going to be.
By the way, the bald-headed thing, I like the bald-headed black women were some of my favorite things in the movie, because it's true. Like black women look cool bald.
I think a lot of people look. I think you look cool bald.
You've never seen me with hair, so you don't know.
I have in that film that you were in from 30 years ago. I saw that. I just want to call out Lupita Nyong'o, who plays the love interest, but also that's the worst way to describe her character. She's kind of the Wakandan CIA, and they make a nuanced portrayal that she will be queen if that's what she wants. She isn't just accepting the entreaties of someone because they're the prince of her country. And that's a really positive portrayal of a woman that you don't see often in films like this. And for better or for worse, this is the kind of film that the most number of people see. Also, she's pretty great in it. And she kicks a shitload of ass, as does Denai Guerrera as the general in it. That's who you were speaking about as the girl who's doing the general, the James Bond thing where she's hooking him up with all the high tech stuff. Oh, the sister. Yeah, the sister to me is like the best thing in the movie. Letitia Wright, Shuri, she's fucking hilarious. She's great. Yeah. She seems a little too young to play that role. I agree. It's kind of like, but somehow it works. I don't know exactly how that. I thought that like her relationship with the brother had the best like comedic bits to it and like the most levity. And I would have liked the movie a lot. It would have been kind of like droning and over serious without her. And I wish there was. I would really like her getting a spin-off movie and it being very different. Because it's like, I am bored by all this shit blowing up. I have seen way too many of these movies, and the first one of this movie for any character is always kind of more nuanced, less action, more character development. By the second one, it's just like, oh, New York's fucking blowing up because aliens are coming. We got to bring more friends, blow up more buildings. It's boring. Well, I mean, look, you have to trace it back to to the source. Follow the money. Hollywood has figured out yet another way to exploit black culture and black actors, and that's what's happening here. By paying them and giving them great roles. Yeah, but you know who's going to paying them pennies on what they're going to make on the merchandising. You know, you think that those kids, any of these actors are getting a cut of the merchandising? Is that accurate though? I mean, is most of the profit of films coming from merchandising still? Superhero movies. I mean, is that true? Maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't know. We can Google it. I know that it's built into the structure of the way the movie's financed and how the movie makes its profit. I any reasonable person have like deep skepticism of the Disney Corporation, and they're also with the Star Wars franchise doing a good job of having more representation in it. But just more and more, you're like, what the fuck are these movies? I'm not here to pat people on the back. I know. Like, oh, good job. I know you're not. You did your diversity thing. I know you're not, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And I find that a specious thing to begin with. I mean. Why? Because it's so phony. It's so contrived. There's nothing.
organic or natural about it. It's not like you really think that
you're
way.
looking at it.
You're
looking at it like it's like people imposing these characters for portrayal, when actually it's saying yes to people who want to make these movies.
It's a way to make money on it.
No, I think you're not wrapping your head around. It's not like saying, like, oh, those are all black people, let's get all their money. There are more and more black actors, black filmmakers, and black audiences that want this, and you're giving them what they
don't know
are creating, what they're trying to create.
This. You know why they don't want this? Because this is fucking children's cinema, man.
Oh, that's why it's made close to $1 billion, and
profit
50% of that audience.
Profit is not a signifier of quality.
You're right. It's a signifier of desire. You were just saying people didn't want it. People are speaking.
It's a signifier of the lowest common denominator. And in capitalism, how can you reach that?
You're doing the thing, man. You're saying one thing, and then I give you an answer to it, and then you're changing what you're saying, and you're saying
I'm not changing what I'm saying.
It's like, no, I'm not against this movie. I'm against all superhero movies. I'm not against. I'm not. It's not that. I'm against capitalism. It's like there's like.
I have to say, like a kid in a candy store, man. I mean, everything's crap here.
It's in this film is what you're saying.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, man. Just stick the spear in and you're going to grab something. I mean, there's nothing great about this movie. Are you kidding? You think you're going to look at this movie 10 years ago? You think you're ever going to think about this movie again? You think from 10 years from now you're going to watch this movie again? No.
Yeah, I could see myself watching the movie in 10 years.
This movie.
If I have kids.
Well, right. Okay, so you don't have kids. You think you're going to watch this movie again?
I could have kids in 10 years. You watch me.
It's not about having kids, man.
I thought it was a kids movie.
Here's the thing. It's funny. I hope you do have kids.
Thanks, Cole.
But I hope you don't
show them this movie.
I hope you don't indoctrinate them on any superhero movies.
They're watching just documentaries from the crib. It's just Adam Curtis and Errol Morris. Day one.
They'll be very articulate.
They'll be real annoying little shits. That will grow tired of my backwards.
All I can say
millennial ways.
It's not an entertaining movie. There's nothing.
I was entertained.
There's nothing surprising in it at all. Everything is de rigueur. It's exactly what you expect. There's just plenty of violence, plenty of revenge, that doesn't get mollified in any responsible adult way. I mean, it would have been a much more interesting film if from that opening scene where the guy kills his brother in front of the kid, they tended to the kid and they raised that kid in that place.
And there wouldn't have been a movie. That's not a movie. That's not a
superhero movie. I know it's not a superhero movie.
Which is what this is, and what I'm comparing it to is a superhero.
Right. So
if you want to indict all superhero movies, you know what? I'm kind of down. Well, I'm kind of done. And if we're doing that, fuck them. Like, we'd be better without them. If they're going to exist, I'd rather them be this than other
because
things.
You're saying that that you have to have all this violence. That if it's a superhero movie, automatically, all right, we're waiting for those guns to be fired. We're waiting for those spears to get thrown.
It's like you're saying, like, I want a zombie movie, but I just feel like it's bad to have all those like dead people walking around. It's spooky. I don't want that. So we're not going to have any of those creepy dead people. But I think we're going to make a zombie movie.
Well, let's put it in a different light. Let's talk about children's films. What's your favorite children's film of all time, Mike?
My favorite children's film. I don't. I always like The Rescuers Down Under.
What's that one?
It's these like mice that are trying to like help someone who's.
Oh, mice trying to help somebody?
Yeah.
See, I like it.
There's I think there's like an osprey that helps them. There's a large bird.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you cry at E.T.? Everyone cried at E.T.
Yeah, E.T. was in the most seminal for me, but I didn't watch it a fair amount. What about you? What were your big kids movies?
I loved E.T.
There are cartoon kids movies created by Pixar. Like Coco came out. Like this is not like what 3-year-olds are watching. You know that, right? This is for teenagers, right? This is for teenagers, and it is enjoyed by people up until their 30s and 40s and up. Like you say it's a kids movie, but like, you know, if we're gonna be pedantic, it's not small children. You know, we're not showing this to 6-year-olds.
No, it's rated PG-13.
Yeah,
It's rated
teens.
PG-13, which means that if you're 11 and you look a little older than your age, you can probably get in.
Yeah.
You could probably get in without the P.
I just didn't know that you were such a Nancy Reagan, Tipper Gore type. I'm just, it's beautiful that you're worried about the children so much. I find that noble.
What about Spirited Away? I really like that one too.
You know what? I'll admit I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Can we do it? Can we watch it? I've seen very few anime films, and
Oh yeah, we got to do anime.
yeah, we should.
You know what the definition of anime is?
I was arguing about this on Facebook, or I was asking people, what is the definite? I feel like this is going to be more of a joke
As far as I can tell,
Yeah.
the hardcore definition is it's got to be Japanese.
You think? Yeah, that's one question. Is like, can you have an American?
I don't think you
anime?
can. I think anime is the province of Japan. I think it's Japanese animation. That's what I think anime
What
is.
if you outsource your animation to
Denmark?
To Cleveland, Ohio?
They don't do it in Cleveland.
Yeah, I know, but what if they did? Like, would it be an anime?
If it's
If you wrote it in Japan, it'd be animated in America.
by a Japanese person,
Is it animated by a Japanese person?
yeah.
They're all half Japanese, every one of them.
I guess you.
Do you know-
I guess you could italicize it. It's anime.
I'm just gonna keep it going.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
That's kind of
I
difficult
accept
definition.
because anime sounds like a Japanese idea. It's a way of them. You know, it's not animation. It's anime. So I take it as Japanese.
I mean, it's got something to do stylistically, right? It's.
I don't think so. I think it just comes from Japanese cartoons. There was a guy in the 50s who was doing a lot of comic books.
Well, certainly they come out more from there, but I think
he was the progenitor of Japanese.
I'm not sure why we're talking about
Animation.
but we were talking about children's movies.
Talking
and
about
how
children's
This
movies.
is teen, especially boys, do like movies where shit blows up, you know. And if that's bad, then you know
I guess
sucks.
that then you've established this is for 13-year-olds that it's automatically coming of age because that's pretty pubescent right there.
I don't think it's coming of age.
It is coming of age.
I think
it's rated PG-13.
I think coming of age films have to do with the content of the film and not the rating.
Okay,
the
but look at what happens. Look at what happens in the movie. The kid witnesses his dad killed, and he comes of age in that moment.
So any movie where someone gets older is a coming of age film.
No,
all
any
happens
movie
in-
that's central to
It all happens in the prologue, baby.
No, to a child, to a kid growing up, and that's what happens in this movie. We see
It's
the kid
backstory.
We see, but we see him grow up, and we see. I mean, that is the story. That is the impetus of the story. So it's a pretty dead end story to begin with, because this kid, he's a dead end kid from the start, and he's a dead end kid at the end.
Except if you might believe that people's ideas, perspectives have power, and the fact that the king of Wakanda completely changes their foreign policy because of the belief that he exhibited in his desire for what Wakanda to do. He was hurt that Wakanda did not save him and was not saving the world, and he actually gets what he wants. He doesn't get to exercise his desire to destroy the country, to kill the current king, to exert power.
It is
what he does
better, It is better to die as a man than
Nope.
to die on
Nope.
your feet
Nope.
than
Nope.
it as a free man than to die on your knees as the servant of the capitalist white pigs.
Oh, so you're not going for the direct quote, yeah.
I don't know what I'm paraphrasing. Whatever that is.
It was throw me in the sea because I know, like my ancestors, it's better to die free than to live in bondage. I believe I want to look this up, but the character goes back to the Spike Lee
Better to live
Stan
free
Lee.
than to die as a slave.
The character goes back to
one of
the
quotes.
Stan Lee days, but I believe that the run of the Black Panther comics that this one was directly based on was at least partially written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, the Black author, intellectual. And so, while you may find it deeply problematic and wrong-headed, it is coming from people who have a vested interest in improving the Black community, and I'll take their word on it a little bit that there's like some messages that might be good for people.
So Ta-Nehisi Coates, who got his ass handed to him in a public row with
You're coming out swinging.
with Cornel West, and he had to delete his Twitter account. That Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Oh yeah, I guess because he had a disagreement with Cornel West, he's completely useless.
Well, I'm just saying that guy. I mean, because I think that people have this this knee jerk like genuflection of about people like, oh yeah, like he's so great and everything that he touches is so good and so well intentioned. I don't know, maybe.
I think he might be a person with some good ideas. I'd
like to see Cornel West write a superhero movie. That would be interesting.
It would be interesting. I wonder if Cornel West has been involved in any graphic novels before. Couldn't you see that? Couldn't you see them like Cornel West doing something on like the metaphysics of morals, like a graphic novel of Kant or something?
Yeah. What if Armand White and
I think the world
would be really
I think
good.
the world would explode is what would happen.
If Cornel West and Armand White co-wrote a superhero movie?
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks, on Le Grand Bouffe. We are inspiring Cornel West to get together with Armand White and co-write a superhero movie. With an all-black cast. No whiteys at all.
Is there I'm checking if there's a Cornel West graphic novel available.
There's not.
Well, Cole, that's it for me on this. I feel like I put in the good fight. I just
can't wait for the next Marvel superhero.
I just wanted to be like Martin Freeman in this and just just like help where needed. But okay.
I wish I could just never have to see another superhero movie as long as I live.
Well, I'm not unempathetic to that. It is annoying that there is a absolute domination of what the most people would be not excited to see, but just willing. And you're seeing any interesting filmmaking increasingly being like foreign filmmaking. Like you used to be able to make compelling, family-based dramas in Hollywood, and you're not. You're in the same boat that you were if you were in Denmark or something. Is you got to piece together a budget from this or from that. If they're going to make giant movies like this, and it's the only movies they're going to make, I hope that they have more diverse, positive characters like the black men and women. In this film.
They're drawing on comic books, so that's how it's going to be. It's everything that you see is going to be written on a 10-year-old level. And that's just what you're going to get. It's not, it's a great cheat for these people because all they have to do is reach back and grab the little stack of comic books and go. They've got everything they need to work from. So there's very little imagination.
I think
there's very little what am I trying to say? Ingenuity. Originality, speaking of people who I think David Byrne would be a great person to write a superhero movie. I want to see the kind of movie that David Byrne would write because I really, it really should be about ideas and people. And this movie is not about ideas and it's not about people. You look at the Wakanda thing. Oh, there's the warring tribes and they have their annual combat ritual, but they all hate each other.
I think it's clear that they have
mutual respect.
Yeah, and that they are functioning as a collective whole, and they're integrated with their past and different like values of their ancestors, but also have.
But they don't mix.
I think they explicitly do because the general is married to one of the leaders of the other tribes.
Oh, good.
Um,
Glad we hammered that nail.
well, you know, I think it's it's lucky for people like us that the like seeing people like us in movies portrayed well is something we never have to worry about. You know, where there's plenty of white dudes who are the protagonists.
Well,
in
I'm not
films.
looking for a movie to portray me. It's not like I ever
Because
watch.
you don't need to.
It's not
Because
like-
you are. Because
it's
it's
not like
not a need you know that you have because it's never been an issue for you to see that.
Okay. Let me just say also, I've never seen me in a movie. I've never gone to a movie where I was like, "Hey, that's me." You know, that doesn't happen.
I'm just trying.
So I don't have
I'm
that-
trying to come up with the most fucked up reference.
I'm just
to be
saying.
Like, you
I'm
haven't
just
se-
saying. Like the thing that you think that you want, once you get that, you still won't have it.
I'm not saying I want a guy who's 28 that lives at my address that has a podcast that like pisses him off every weekend. Like what I'm saying is just if there is no one who was loosely like me in any way, and anyone who was similar to me was portrayed negatively, it would like really benefit me socially and psychologically to see good portrayals of someone vaguely like me, you know? I mean, that's at least what I've heard from people who don't have the benefit
You know,
of positive
we
portrayals.
watched Empire of the Senses as a Japanese film, and it didn't concern me at all that the characters were all Japanese, that there was no white people in the movie at all. It didn't bother me one iota. I didn't go to it for that and care about that. I don't think about that. And guess what? You shouldn't have to think about all these things when you go to a movie. You know why? Because it's a movie. Go to the movie, get out of it what you will. Are you entertained? Hopefully. Was I entertained at this movie? Not one iota. I couldn't wait for it to be over.
I liked it a lot. I'm like, I've enjoyed myself at superhero movies to different degrees. I've become pretty wary of them. This was one of my like peak good times at it. I hope it has a positive impact on the roles that these actors, other black actors get, and more black filmmakers get more work because people realize that not only can they make good films, but they'll be profitable, which is at the end of the day, of course, what Disney and the capitalist overlords of this, what they care about, but where that can overlap with better portrayals of people, that's great. And I do, if this led,
Wait a minute, stop
if
for a
this
second.
led to,
Don't put a
let me-
period-
let-
don't
if
put a
this
pin in
led
it.
to
You
a
gotta
million,
finish your sentence.
if the only positive thing that came from this was a million more Black Panther movies, I'd be like, well, fuck, like, yeah, that's not awesome, you know, like, I'm glad Lupita Nyong'o is a billionaire.
I get it.
I hope this.
I get it.
You
I
got
get
me.
it. I get it.
Okay.
You know, just because you made Wonder Woman, you didn't save women. You didn't do anything for women. Just because you made a superhero movie with a largely black cast,
But what if
you didn't do shit for black people.
What if there was one woman, and think what you would who.
And don't pretend
What
like
if-
and don't pretend like you did. Don't come to me and act like because you made a lot of money on your movie that tapped into the zeitgeist about, you know, oh, we need Wonder Woman. Oh, I know where we can make a lot of money. Black Panther. And then, you know, you get to have your cake and eat it too. Baloney. It's a crappy movie. Wonder Woman's a crappy movie. Just because you tapped into the zeitgeist a little bit doesn't give you a pass. And people, and I think that the tendency.
Who are you yelling at right now? Are you yelling
I'm
at?
not yelling.
But I mean,
The
are you-
tendency. You gotta let me talk. The tendency in the media is to give a pass to everything. You know, oh, you did Lady Bird, so millennial girls are all represented. I have to
Right.
say that every woman that I've talked to who has seen Lady Bird takes great umbrage that they're being represented this way. So yeah, you're doing yourself a favor. Don't push it too far.
Are you? It's just you were kind of pointing at someone like as you made it. Are you looking at the directors, the
filmmakers,
producers?
the people that are putting all that money in the bank.
But just to be sure, your criticism is that they made a superhero movie, and
My criticism is that you're getting a huge amount of profit. You're getting a huge turbocharge out of your movie because you had a movie about a woman and a movie with a bunch of black actors. That's great. That's great for you. Are they good movies? Not at all. Far from it. They're not good films. They don't stand up.
I thought they're both Black Panther. Black Panther's possibly the best superhero movie, and you notice it's a caveat. Like that's like, what do I want this to be on Best Picture next year? No. Like
you're saying that you're saying you think Black Panther's the best superhero movie?
Yeah, it's one of the
Boy,
up there.
boy,
I mean, I know you're Spider-Man too, dude. Like that's like, yeah.
You know, and you look at Logan. Oh, we'll get an old white guy. That's great. It's the
Did you watch Logan?
It's the old people.
Did you like Logan?
I fucking hated it with a passion.
Why did you hate it so much? I just think you don't like this genre.
Violent. It's about. I don't like the genre. I think it's. I mean, look, if the genre was making good movies, I'd love it.
But why does
you
it?
Talk about you talk about indoctrinating young people into violence. That's what that movie does.
Yeah.
That's what all these movies do. That's my thing about this genre is that they're all about indoctrinating kids into violence and how they should use violence as their form of response in any situation, and that's what it's about.
I'm not unsympathetic to that, you know. And we watch movies with violence.
It's infuriating.
We watch horror movies, but you know, they tend to be R-rated. They tend to have even films that are like, you know, glorious.
I don't care if you rated Logan R. It doesn't matter. It's a kids movie, and everyone knows it's a kids movie, and everyone's taking their kid to it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's another specious argument about, oh, well, it's an R-rated superhero movie. Who the fuck cares? You think that's going to stop parents from taking their kids? No.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the star of the story is a kid.
It's sort of like celebrating that the new president of Lockheed Martin is a Hispanic woman. It's like, okay, cool. That's great, but you're still selling arms to despots around the world, like creating chaos. I hear it, you know. I don't think. I think it's more responsibility than the director of this film, Coogler, should be put on him to change Hollywood's interest in creating these films and in the populace's interest. That's more than he could do and should be asked of. And if you have the opportunity to make one of those films, I think he did it.
With Fruitvale Station. I mean, I have to say, I gave that movie a great review, and I think it's a great movie, unlike this one. So if you really want to know about Ryan Coogler, check out Fruitvale Station from 2013. Thank you all for listening. Please do us a huge favor and dial up on Google, our friend Google, Patreon and Cole Smithy.
You can use you could use Siri. You could use what's her name? Alexa, Amazon.
Yeah, Alexa, and just go to Patreon, look at the page, and see what rewards you'd like to get for giving us a little bit of cash every month, 5, 10, 20, whatever, dollars a month to help keep Le Grand Bouffe alive. Thank you all so much for listening, and please remember to turn your cell phones off when you're walking, driving, riding a bicycle, or watching a movie.